Number one, Rima Winey to address the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make my first presentation in this honorable House on the 2014 budget theme, A Better Guyana for All Guyanese. Mr. Speaker, after listening to the honorable member on that opposite side of the House, I am not convinced that this budget is a people's budget. Maybe, might be better for some, a few maybe, but certainly not for all. Mr. Speaker, the pressing questions that are frequently asked are, where is the money to be spent?
That's right.
Who benefits?
That's right.
What is the impact?
That's right.
A national budget should be for the development as a whole, the nation, but we see at the regional level poor service, especially for residents of the hinterland. Mr. Speaker, I listened to the honorable member, Mr. Ronald Bulkan. I felt that he was referring to the conditions of the residents of my home, Region 1. It is now clear to me then that all the hinterland regions are being neglected. All are suffering at the hands of an uncaring government. How can the government face the residents of the hinterland communities where year after year living conditions deteriorate? While they read and hear about lavish lifestyle on the coastal for a few? Mr. Speaker, my presentation will focus on the following areas: infrastructure, economical development, public security, education, and health services. Mr. Speaker, my presentation will focus on the following areas: infrastructure, economical development, public security, education, health services. Since I'm a proud representative of the voice of Region 1, Rima Winey.
That's right.
On the infrastructure, through the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development, there are major defects in the quality of works delivered in the region. Hence, the people in region continues to suffer. Let me draw this House's attention to an issue that continues to affect the region in Region 1, the residents in Region 1, as it relates to uses of bridges in Santa Rosa Village, Maruca and San Jose revetment. The residents find difficulties carrying in trades of other activities when they have to use these bridges. Permit me, Mr. Speaker, to refer especially to the bridge, which continued to be highly continuous based on substandard work carried out by contractor. Recently, we read and heard the voices of concern residents in Maruca. In the month of January 2014, several millions were spent on the revetment in Comaco, Maruca. Numerous complaints have been made to correct the substandard work on Comaco, Maruca, both at the local and the national level. But to date, no action has been taken to the residents who continue to suffer.
Poor.
Mr. Speaker, on the hinterland roads, there is a budgetary allocation of $1 billion towards the rehabilitation of critical arteries. However, there is no mention for work to be done in Region 1. The roads in Region 1 are commonly referred as to dry weather roads. The Quibana Road, whenever it rains, becomes slushy, almost impossible. The Magistrate Road in a bad state. This is as a result of poor work done by contractor and poor supervision by the regional officials. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention to housing and water. Remains a major problem to the hinterland communities. Allow me to highlight a few communities that are currently accessing water from those systems. Port Kaituma, 6 pump station. Barabina 1 pump station and 2 non-functional. Whitewater 1 Warmuri 1, and Kamwata 1 pump station. Currently, Mr. Speaker, that pump station at Kamwata is in dire need of repairs. I am calling on the Minister of Finance to direct funds to solve these problems. Mr. Speaker, the population in Region 1 exceeds 4,000 hens, the system I referred to earlier, as inadequate for the region, owing the fact that the potable water is not accessible through pipelines. Students at Learning Institute are made to pump water from well into tanks in order to go about their daily chores. Energy and power. On the issue of energy and power, there is no provision in Budget 2014 to improve of such service in Region 1. In 2013, work had commenced on the provision of electricity services at Barabina. However, there has been cessation of this work as a result of the conditions of the road and the promised bridge that were to be built. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing the estimate of 2014. I am unaware of any consultation which were done with the people of Region 1, Barima Waini, as there are huge gaps in education which the budget has failed to address. These are the issues that the people hope would have been addressed. Reconstruction of the Morowana Teachers Living Quarter. Our nursery children and teachers are struggling with inhumane lavatory conditions. Regarding education delivery, there is no provision towards those I mentioned earlier. The minister has omitted to mention on provision of transportation in Region 1. Let me inform this Honorable House that the majority of residents in Region 1 get around using private transportation, which is very costly on the residents.
Not far to that.
However, mention has been made for a sum of $10,000 for transportation per child. While this sounds noble, that the government should seek to do, that transportation is provided for all school-age children to and from school. Since they pay $2,000 return by boat and $3,000 by car per day. This suggests that the $10,000 will be insufficient due to the high rate of transportation costs in the hinterland region. I join with the Honorable Member, Ms. Dawn Hastings, in inviting the Honorable Minister of Education to visit Region 1 and its riverine areas. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention to the provision in this year's budget allocated for the elderly. This I deem as a total insult. The elderly in Region 1 and Guyana at large, as I alluded to earlier, the high transportation costs in the region will ensure that the elderly will continue to remain in the same position they were some 2 years ago. Mr. Speaker, another concern of the residents and the people of Region 1 is the demarcation of land and land titling for Amerindians. To this end, I do not recognize provision in Budget 2014 to have these issues addressed in the hinterland communities. Rather, it is proposed provision to be extended on the construction of 100 hubs in 100 villages to facilitate OLPF initiative. I am sure that the indigenous leaders would have expected that their land issues would have been addressed in 2014. However, indigenous leaders have accused the government of snatching their traditional land through poor demarcation, saying some areas and communities were demarcated without their knowledge. It is only fair that this budget would have made provision to address land extension in indigenous communities. Money was spent to commence in the project, but it is not yet completed. And to date, land titler or extensions have been given to certain communities. Regarding economical development, no provision has been made for Region 1. It must be noted, however, that Region 1 sustenance is heavily dependent on farming, fishing, mining, logging. Yet, some 1.5 billion have been provided for other regions to do similar activities. Public security. Life remains unsafe for residents in Region 1. Port Kaituma is a thriving sub-region in Region 1, but persons are vulnerable yet. Nothing is being done to improve their security in 2014. In 2013, some 17.3 billion was expended, but Region 1 did not benefit significantly from this allocation. This allocation budget for 2014 has increased by $2.2 billion, yet there is no mention for Region 1 benefiting from this allocation. Health delivery. This brings me to my final point on health services delivery in the region. Residents continue to face poor health services. Take, for instance, Comaka District Hospital. That institution is currently providing service for the entire sub-region of Maruka without a functional ambulance. Hence, our residents are left to the mercy of private transportation to get to medical institution in most cases. Residents are forced to leave the region to seek further medical attention at Charity, since the sub-region does not have specialized equipment readily available. This health center at Matthews Ridge is in dire need of repairs, and at the moment there is a need for a mortuary. What we have now in 2014 is just an icebox. Another area of concern that the residents face on a daily basis in the region, the supply of medical supplies, which is being done in an irregular basis, yet is in perusing the estimate, it seems that the provision for the improvement of health services delivery, residents in Region 1, it seems favor more purchasing of equipment. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I'm calling on the government of this country to have the budgetary allocation for Region 1 reviewed so that relief can come about for the residents of Region 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member.